Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the Metallux collection by Pampered Polish. This collection was sent to me for review. It is available right now, so in the description box below I will link Pampered's site as well as their Instagram page, and I will also link my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything in this collection. So there are 6 multi-chrome polishes. Hopefully I can do them justice because multi-chromes are incredibly hard for me in one light setting. So let's go ahead and get started. So first up we have Eternal, and this one goes from like a fiery red magenta to this copper-esque yellow gold to a green. Here's our first coat of Eternal. This has a great formula, easy to use, easy to work with. All of these polishes are a little bit on the thinner side, so if you do super thick coats, you may end up with some cuticle flooding, but if you work in relatively thin, you don't have to work in like paper thin coats, but relatively thin coats, you won't have issues with that at all. None of these stained. I mean, they're all going to be pretty much the same thing, just with a different shift. They kind of have the same formula, same finishes, everything like that, so I am going to be extremely repetitive, and I apologize in advance for that. So here is the second coat, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats. You are going to get a super strong shift out of this. If you want even more of a shift, it doesn't make the hugest difference in the world, but you can layer these over black and it will make a strong shift, maybe not enough to like justify the black base at all. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Infinity, and this one probably has the least shift in all of them. This one does go from a gold to a green and a very light shift of a blue in extreme angles. So here is our first coat of Infinity, and I feel like the particles in this one may be a little bit bigger than that in the last one. It applies the same, everything else is the same, it's just I feel the shimmer particles may be just a little bit bigger, so they're a little bit more noticeable. Again, it's a little bit thin on the formula. As far as brush stroking goes, these do have some brush strokes. They're not like the biggest thing in the world, but they are there. So if it bothers you, you can either sponge on the second coat or just be sure to apply in extremely like straight strokes. This does cover completely in 2 coats. This is one that might benefit a little bit more from a black base, but again, it won't make the biggest difference in the world. And all of these dry a little bit dull, so you will want a nice glossy top coat. So there is 2 coats. Next up we have Hypnotic, and this goes from a teal to a dark blue to a purple to a magenta in extreme angles. So here is our first coat of Hypnotic, and we're going back again to the itsy bitsy little particles that look just like a cohesive polish. Again, this is a little bit sheer here on this first coat. It is going to need to be built up in 2 coats. If you work in super duper thin coats, you may end up needing 3 coats of these, but I really don't think anybody would have to do 3 coats. But I did do 2 coats for everything across the board. So here's the second coat, and this one does again cover completely in 2 coats. Again, I did have a little bit of brush stroking here, but it's even less noticeable on the second coat, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. And the multi-chrome shift in all of these will be most apparent if you're outside in the shade, which I didn't get any photos of, and I'm sorry. So there is 2 coats. Next up we have Mystique, and this goes from a royal blue to a royal purple and then to that green gold in super extreme angles. Here's our first coat of Mystique. Again, this has a nice formula. It's a little bit on the thinner side, so you will have to work it just a little bit. But if you work in thinner coats, again, it's not going to be an issue. I don't know if I've said this yet, but I didn't have staining with anything in this collection. It was all relatively the same and very, very good. They're nice quality multi-chrome polishes. So here's the second coat, and once again this does cover completely in 2 coats. These do, once again, I believe I've said, dry down a little bit dull, so you will want a nice glossy top coat. And the brush strokes are there. They're not as bad as when they're wet, but they will be there, so straight strokes or sponge on the last coat if it's that big of a deal. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Paradox, and this goes from a bright purple to a yellow, which is a shift that I haven't seen before, to this almost gold shade. Here's our first coat of Paradox. And I know painting like this and it being from just one single angle, this just looks like a purple polish to you, but hopefully the photos will show a little bit different. I'm thinking of inserting macro photos either I have or I haven't by this point, but if I haven't, they're on my Instagram page. Check that out. It'll be linked in the description box below because the shift on these is truly amazing. It's just not something easily captured by one light setting in a swatch photo, video. So if that's something you're interested in, these are extremely shifty and extremely beautiful. So again, this one does cover completely in 2 coats. Easy to use, great formula, a little bit of brush stroking, nothing so severe that you need to, do anything about, in my opinion. So there is 2 coats. And lastly, we have Mesmerize, and this one is the unicorn of all of them. It does go essentially from every color in the rainbow with also gold. It looks like that oil slick. So I see right here at just this angle, pink, green, blue, purple, gold, magenta, pretty much everything you could possibly want. So here's our first coat of Mesmerize, and this goes back to like the larger particled shimmers in here. It doesn't make a difference to me if they're larger or smaller shifting color, but it's just something that I wanted to note because I'm kind of running out of things to say. This is a nice formula, easy to use, easy to work with, a little bit on the thinner side, but it doesn't want to run or pull or anything like that unless you do an extremely thick coat. So here's the second coat, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats. And for the 2 polishes in this collection that I have said have the larger particled shimmers, I feel like the brush stroking on those aren't bad whatsoever, like at all. So that's just something to note as well. You will want a nice glossy top coat for all of these, and I had 0 staining across the board. So there's 2 coats. So my favorite from this collection is Mesmerize. It has the strongest shift, the most color changing shift, and it's just really beautiful in all lightings. There isn't one lighting in particular that I don't like this in, so this one is my favorite. And that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.